Hello?
Hi, Mr. Knight. This is Jessica Feedlot.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
I'm okay, thank you. I'm sorry I missed your call.
Oh, it's okay. I understand. You're probably busy and everything, and you called me right back. Out of all the stuff I'm dealing with, I think you're the first person to ever call me back.
Okay, well, I guess that's a good distinction, maybe. You said you needed my email, and I'm happy to give that to you.
Okay, go ahead.
It's Jessica, Jessica,
All right.
Freedson, Freedson,
Mm-hmm.
at prosperitybankusa.com.
Okay. I'll get some documents to you very shortly.
Okay, do you want to tell me what you're filing?
Well, I'm going to send you just copies of everything I've sent so far in case there's been any kind of breakdown to make sure that you have it all. And then, because I've done like some discovery and stuff recently, and most of it's been going to like Tim's address. Poor Tim. I like to make fun of him.
Who is Tim?
Tim Fogley? Or Fogel?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I have some other documents from another case that I was going to share with you because some of the case rulings in there just might be of interest to you right now with how the docket looks and everything.
Okay.
Okay, and
what is the other case?
I've actually filed a Supreme Court ruling, and it's under review right now for stuff under the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure 106-2B about being served by electronic means. And it has a bunch of documentation in support of if somebody fails to file an answer after acknowledging that they're well aware that they need to file an answer and the opposing counsels repeatedly let them know they haven't, the default judgment is under conscious indifference. And I have filed a motion for default judgment. They just didn't go with it because you haven't been served, but the docket does not show that you filed an answer yet after 175 or 6 days so far with the court.
Okay. Do you know the circumstances of why? I don't know how much you know or don't know. So I'll just tell you, and if you already know this, then sorry for being redundant. We did file an answer, and the court clerk did not submit it because you hadn't served us, and so she wouldn't accept the answer. But we have all of the communications with the court, and we kept following up, and she said no because they had communicated with you, and because you hadn't served us, they were dismissing the case. And then they did dismiss the case.
The reason you weren't served was because Tim and Elizabeth Enriquez actually refused to give me an address at which to serve you. And so I finally served it at the bank branch up in Fort Worth, and it came back, or I served it where Tim was at. I forget which one. And it came back that the person had moved to a different location. So they actually...
So a company is registered with the Secretary of State. And that's where you can find, like, for any lawsuit, like if you're ever in Texas, anyone who is doing business in Texas has to be registered with the Secretary of State. Mm-hmm. And that's where it provides the address and the information on who needs to be served.
Okay. I can definitely...
So just for future reference, hopefully you don't have to sue anyone in the future, but just so you know.
Okay.
So we finally...
I don't understand why they didn't accept your answer if you hadn't been served, because there's definitely plenty of stuff that shows that if you are aware of the lawsuit and file an answer, that it should just go in, because it even says, like, we're supposed to communicate under, like, 194, and to save them the whole burden of that. Like, if you get an answer from me, or you file an answer after I send you an email before I serve you, like, that's it. They don't have to serve people.
They've now accepted the answer, but if you look on it, you'll probably see the original date for when we filed it.
Okay, I looked yesterday, and it was still showing no answer in there. So we might double check that they haven't tried to be stupid again.
Yeah, when you send me the documents, I'll have your contact information, and I can send you what our answer and what we filed.
Okay.
So yeah, we filed an answer months ago.
Yeah, I got documents from you and everything, but I was like, oh wow. To be honest, I was like, quick, easy win then. But if it was the clerk, that wasn't you. That would be a reasonable explanation of why there was no. And none of the stuff I have would apply because all the stuff is.
We have the communication that shows that we sent this to the court, and then we on multiple occasions checked back and we're like, "What do you want us to do?" We're submit it, do it.
Okay.
We don't think we're liable in the lawsuit, But that's like a whole different thing. I mean, we don't play games with people. You know, if you want to file a lawsuit, that's your right. We answer.
I just don't understand why I'm paying NCSF fees for transactions that I didn't initiate, and then y'all wrote off half of it, and then sent me a bill for the part that y'all wrote off. And like, I still haven't got my paycheck from the first day back from my furlough, or my first paycheck back after furlough, and documents should show that I told them not to accept any deposits in my name after that. Half the transactions were initiated after I noticed the first half, and I told them, wait, stop, something's wrong, and they went ahead and initiated it. And it turns out that they just didn't do anything right. They've admitted complete fault. They reversed all the transactions, and yet I'm still paying NCSF fees to you for some reason.
Let me follow up. You said it's with Tim Fogel?
Yeah, Tim Fogel.
I'll reach out to him because I definitely didn't understand that. When you file a small claims case, you have like 3 spaces to write. So yes. I understand there's not a lot of room, but let me check with him and find out what's going on, and maybe we can talk again in a couple days.
Yeah, because I would have been happy back at the day just getting rid of those NCSF fees and keeping my bank account. I would have got my stimulus check fast enough. My car got towed, and I couldn't get it out because my stimulus check bounced off y'all's bank. Total, it's almost like $600 of just NCSF fees over transactions that were supposed to go to my preferred payment method, and instead they put it to, as far as I could tell, I had gotten the Uber Eats pass, and that has an automatic transaction thing on it, and they used that automatic transaction thing for all my single point transactions, and then they did a debit overdraft protection and put it to my PayPal cash, and when that built up and I didn't even know it, they sent it all to the bank over at once and then ran it again. And then they were like, oops, and they reversed all the transactions. But it took forever because they were all shut down during COVID-19. But it comes out to be like $600, and then I have all this extra overdraft stuff, late fees on all my accounts because I had none of that money. I didn't get that first check.
Okay, the first part of it sounds like an issue with PayPal, but let me follow up and see what I can find out and get a look at the documents myself.
Yeah, I'm still just not sure why y'all would charge me NSF fees once it's been proven by them reversing transactions that I didn't initiate those transactions on that account.
I can't tell you with no information in front of me, but let's talk again in a few days. And
okay.
I'll try to
I'll send you,
information in front of me.
If I send you a Google Drive link of a bunch of images where I'm arguing with them and stuff and they can't even understand what's going on and stuff, is that something you can look at?
I think so.
Okay, yeah. Just making sure, because a lot of places I send it to, they're like, we can't open those kind of links. But I have
if I can't open it on the bank computer, I'll try to open it on my phone.
Yeah, and there's a lot in there, and they're not in very good order. But as you read through it, you'll see that they just keep trying to make the same excuse that I made the transactions and that it went to the other thing and I can't do stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but I have these records that show it works that way. And y'all did there's a transaction they split between. One transaction goes to my preferred payment method, like the tip does, and then the main transaction is sent to y'all. And I'm like, you're not supposed to do that. And they end up reversing all of them. And there's images in there where they reverse it all and everything. But the bank even was like, oh, we'll take care of these if you show that these weren't supposed to happen like that. And then they just didn't. They were like, nope. And I think,
what is your total in damages?
Just with the Prosperity Bank, it's like $600. But then if we go through, I lost that paycheck that I really needed, and then my electricity was turned off twice. I had to pay for reactivation on a phone twice. I have tons of late fees. I missed work a couple times because I didn't have the money to pay for an Uber. I couldn't get up to Oklahoma because my car was stolen at the same time to get my car out. I didn't have money to get my car out of the impound. Everything falls apart right there in my life, and I have a whole crap load of damages because of these transactions and those NCFS fees.
Okay. Do you have a way of calculating what your damages are?
I lost access to a lot of the accounts, including y'all's records of my bank accounts and everything. But I can start adding it all up.
You're entitled to your records. You can always get copies of your records.
Yeah, I can furnish a bunch of those.
But I can get your records. That's not what I'm asking. if we were going to go to trial tomorrow, or let's say next week, and you're going to argue and say, this is what I want you to give me, jury. Do you know what that number is, or how you would calculate that number?
Oh yeah, I can add up a whole bunch of them, and then you typically, 30 or 40% for emotional damages and everything, and the delay on my not having my stimulus check because y'all closed my bank account, that cost me my car. Like, my entire car's gone, and I haven't been able to work since December 2nd or 28th because of that. And just the car and that is about $8,000.
Okay, well, all right. Prosperity, let me look into the numbers. I mean, we can discuss that further. I mean, typically, so you know, and I know you've been doing a lot of research on this, but like, let's say, for example, and I'm just making up numbers, okay, and I'm just making them small to make a point, not to in any way diminish what you went through.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say somebody, and we had this happen recently, somebody tried to make it was like a $10 charge. I can't, it wasn't PayPal, but it was, I'm trying to remember who it was, you know, Amazon or something. And they, on their debit, and it came back, and they didn't have the $10. Well, that made a $35 fee. Mm-hmm. And then the vendor tried it 2 more times. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was eBay, actually, now that I think of it. They tried it 2 more times. Well, each time, so it was like a $35 charge for each time that they tried to run it through. So it was like $105 in NSF fees, overdraft fees, on like a $10 charge. Mm-hmm. And it's led to all of these ripple effects, like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But the bank cannot be liable for the untold consequences of what happens down the road. Unseeable.
The issue with that, with me, is though that I made these transactions and they were specifically on a preferred payment method that I can prove I had enough balance for, and instead they sent it to a different method, so I didn't initiate the transactions on the accounts at all. And then y'all charged NCSF fees, and when I told you that there was an error and mistake, which is on your billing agreement that y'all give out every month, if there's an error or question, that y'all investigate it, and during the investigation, it'll either be returned or it's made available to me. But during that time, it wasn't made available in that time. And then, because y'all hit me for over $600 in NCSF fees for transactions I did not initiate on the bank account, I had my power turned off and had to pay fees on that. And since my electricity is over here bouncing because my bank account suddenly shut off for NCSF fees that I did not initiate, and y'all have been informed of that, y'all are probably liable for that. And then y'all shut down the account, even though I'm still trying to deal with it, still trying to get the investigation going on and everything. And then way down here, my whole stimulus check is bouncing after I inform you in writing that you are not to accept deposits for my work or anything else like that. Y'all eat that into a debt that I should not have with y'all. Y'all stole my paycheck is what you did. And I'm still suffering damages all from it right now for NCSF fees that y'all charged for transactions that I did not initiate. PayPal has taken full responsibility for and reversed.
Okay. I will look into it.
Okay.
All I'm telling you, though, is that, like, let's say that you didn't make a payment and you lost your $12 billion house. Well, you can't say that the bank, because it had an NSF or it became, it went negative, that it has to pay all of these, or if it was a company, if it was a, major. So it's, all I'm saying is, I'm going to look at it, I'm going to try to see what we show from our end, but the kind of, the damages that resulted don't make it any less for you. It's, this is big stuff, I know.
I'm willing to push it like all the way up to Texas Supreme Court and stuff if I have to. Like, I'm not just going to stop in small claims court. I will keep pushing and I will get my car back out of it. It's that simple. Like, I understand you're going to say you're not responsible for that stuff, but my stimulus check was delayed by like 2 months, and that's $600 that I didn't have that I could have had. So that's stuff I'm suffering right now because y'all charged NCSF fees for transactions that you couldn't even tell me anything about when they were first ran on the account at the time, and that it turns out that I didn't initiate on the account. So y'all took money out, refused to return it, and y'all just generated fees and stole my paycheck for nothing I did. Like your examples of not paying payments and stuff are because somebody ran a transaction that they didn't keep track of their bank account balance. I didn't do that. And then you have my $300 paycheck. That's all those bills that month and all those fees that month, because that was all I got that month. And then, you know, there's still the $600 one. So the fucking car up here and me losing my job is a direct result of that stimulus check bouncing when I needed it. And I lost a lot of money to fees and everything, and having to open new accounts and swapping over and losing work dealing with this. So it's a direct consequence. I mean, if we need to roll you and PayPal up together and move it to a district court and let them decide liability and everything as I'm about to lose my house because I can't even get to work, then that's fine, because we'll jump this up to a $120,000 lawsuit and set it in front of a jury. Because I have no problem believing that I can convince a jury that y'all were well aware I did not initiate those transactions and that y'all kept that fee and still refused to do anything.
And at this point, has the money been returned to you?
No, y'all still send me stuff saying that I owe you $300. They never return those NCSF fees or anything. They closed the account. And that's part of the problem. Y'all still have that money.
Well, let me look into it, and then we'll plan to talk early next week. You have my email address, so you can send me the documents you want me to look at. When I get your email and everything, then I will forward you the answer that we filed.
Okay.
And we'll go from there, okay?
Alrighty.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I'd like to think I give her a little pause there, because she was probably thinking a few $100 in damages and was probably about ready to cut a check until I was like, I just lost my car because that stimulus check bounced. And I did. If I would have had that stimulus check, I wouldn't even have to be suing them. They probably would have got away with their bullshit, because I would have went up there, paid, and got my car back so that I could have went straight back to work. But that was a huge delay of months. Mine was sent off in January, I believe it said, whenever I looked it up. We can pull it up again, I'm sure. I'm sure that website is still available, and I'm sure their records will show when they bounced it back. But that $600 had a month and a half delay on it, and I couldn't do anything. I was struggling to order food, all that stuff. And I'm still just stuck here dealing with this, and you can tell they're like, has the money been returned? No. They said it wasn't their fault and that they washed their hands and it was all due to my actions. That's their entire answer. It's due to my actions. So if it's not due to my actions, then their entire answer is wrong, and there should be a summary judgment on it, and the only thing we're going to have to do is submit the actual damages that I was liable for. But I am not even probably going to do that, because I'm going to eat up a jury trial on that, and it's over $25. We'll eat up a jury trial just to drive that price up to make sure that she actually treats me fairly instead of just trying to hand me the $600, because I've had way more loss than that overall. I'm kind of a jerk. I get tired of dealing with stuff like this, and people like Tim, poor Tim Fogel, tim.fogel@prosperitybankusa.com. Go ahead and call him, give him a nice harassment. Ask him what his favorite color is. He just stopped answering. He was like, oh yeah, tell me who your attorney is. We'll send you them the legal information. I was like, I'm my attorney. The fact that I didn't initiate these transactions and I can prove it and all that kind of stuff, this shouldn't be a problem for me. And he stopped responding after that, and they refused to give me any of the places to actually do anything for. But if we scroll down, just because I know other people kind of have an idea of when they got there. Our water was turned off recently while we waited on that. But my deposit was actually made on February 4th. I know everybody else's was at least 2 weeks sooner than that. Well, actually, there's probably people still waiting on it, and I'm sorry, I understand. But mine was since like January 1st to my bank, and they bounced it off. And I had to wait on that to even get the water turned on and stuff. So I am sure that they are not going to be happy about that kind of stuff in front of a jury, that I'm still suffering, because even she's like, so what's your damages? Have they returned it? No, they haven't. They wrote it off and then gave me the bill for it also after they took my first paycheck, mind you. I was about ready right then with her just being nice and being like, oh, we did get an answer to the court and this is why it's delayed, because that's not how it's supposed to work. That court clerk should have put the answer in and it was still showing no answer at this time. To be honest, I think she was bullshitting. And if it does not show in there the original date and everything, I'm still going to just push it up to a petition for writ, a mandamus with the Texas Supreme Court. And my screen just turned off. It still shows I'm recording. But she has called twice and talked to them and everything. They know she's aware of the lawsuit. And that's not how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to, under Texas Rules of Civil Procedure 194, you're supposed to do a certificate of conference and everything that actually certifies that you've talked to the other attorney and everything, and basically you try to resolve it and have to send it to them. Like if you ask for stuff from them for discovery and they just send it to you, you don't file a motion to discovery. It costs more papers. It costs the clerk's time and everything. There's no reason to do that unless you think they're hiding something or there's really something you need out of that they're not giving you. She probably doesn't even realize that I've filed that discovery and stuff over to Tim. So I'm going to send all those documents through her email address now that I have it, and we'll see exactly what happens there. That's a 20-minute video of me playing Texas attorney against Prosperity Bank USA, who decided to initiate $600 worth of NCSF fees, even though they were well aware that I could show that was not where they were supposed to target and that they were considered automatic transactions, even though they were single point sales. Have a good one.